What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast, and we've got one heck of a show coming on, and been looking forward to this for probably since the Classic when we've got this one scheduled, and I've been looking forward to be able to get this gentleman on. But first things first, we got to do a little business real quick. This episode is brought to you by Bruiser Baits, FireFly Marine, YOLO Tech, Joe Burns Rods, Cornfield Fishing Gear, Spearpoint Hooks, and Pro Line Baits. Guys, make sure you go check them out and use the discount code DECKTALK10 and get you a little discount code or discount along with that. But guys, if you don't know, I'm Colin Burnett.
I'm Pappy J, and today's hero for the week will be, like we have been talking about. We'll be recognizing one veteran or current military personnel a week. You know, we can't thank them enough for what they do and what they have done. But this one's kind of near and dear to our hearts. Army Specialist Dawn Riley. She is my daughter-in-law. She's a 27 Delta paralegal specialist. She carries on a big task there, trying to keep people either out of trouble or putting them in jail. One of the two. But we like to thank her for everything that she's done, and just continue on.
All right, now, guys, Pappy, we appreciate that, man. Ever since you told me that you wanted to do that, that really means a lot to us about being able to thank our veterans. But now, let's get to the big guy right here to the right side of the screen, guys. He has been fishing the Bassmasters for 25 years, gone to the Bassmaster Classic 10 times, 9-time champion in Bassmasters. Along with that, he is from California. We have Ish Monroe. What is up, brother?
What's
Guys,
happening,
how you
brother?
doing?
Doing
Not
great.
much.
Man, I tell you, brother, ever since talking to you at the Classic and then kind of getting this all settled in, this has been one of the episodes that I have had a star writ around because I've been wanting to have you on here and chit chat with you. And because, we got to have the Frog Master on the podcast and be able to talk some frogging.
Heck yeah, for sure.
So, first question though, what is the main difference? You grew up being out in California and fishing the West Coast. What is the biggest difference that you have seen from going from West Coast to East Coast?
The amount of pressure that the lakes get, for one, the lakes out west, they don't get as much pressure as the lakes back east. When I first showed up at Guntersville on a weekday and there's 700 boats on the water, and then on a weekend there's 1,500 to 2,000 boats on the water. That's insane to me. You go to a
Yeah.
lot of those Texas lakes and they have tournaments with 500 to 700 boats in it. I've just never seen anything like that. Growing out west, for us, 100 boat field was a big field to have for boat
Right.
count, and it's just kind of weird to see how fish related to how shallow they would be, the amount of fish. I mean, you go to Guntersville, and once again, there's 700 boats out there, and everybody's catching them.
Yeah.
The lakes out here, you get 50 boats on them, and 10 guys are catching them.
Right. Now, I know like in the West Coast though, like that's pretty much like where the glide baits and stuff kind of came from the West Coast and moved to the East Coast, and pretty much everybody around here, we live in the Chattanooga area, and so we've got Chickamauga, Nickajack, and Guntersville right in our back door. And it seems like everybody that you see has at least one big glide bait on the deck of their boat somewhere. And so, did you ever get into throwing them big glide baits?
Oh, I'm a guide bait freak. I love the S Waver 200. I also love the clutch darter. That's another one of my favorite glides. I mean, I've been throwing big swim baits for a long time, and the glide bait thing for you guys is relatively, what I say, not new, but we talk about the last 10 years of it. For us
Right.
out west, we've been throwing big baits for a long time. The big AC plugs, the Huddlestons, lots of big baits well before the glide was really a thing.
Right.
And we have trout out here. And if you want a chance to catch a double digit bass, which we all do as bass fishermen, we throw those big baits to catch those big fish.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I have, I guess he's within the last 3 to 4 years that I've been trying to put more and more into my arsenal is to throw a glide bait, because there, I mean, it's so much opportunity, and you're right that if you're going to catch a big, and that's what you're going to catch them on, and they
Yes.
tend to catch bigger fish. But I also have caught fish on there that I'm wondering why in the world they even went after the thing.
100%.
So, but so with that being said, what is your favorite rod to throw a frog on?
Well, I mean, that would have to be my signature series, Daiwa Tatula Elite Series Ish Monroe Frog Rod. I love the 7.4 because that 7.4, I fish it about 70% of the time, and then I fish the 7.9 version about 30% of the time. And that 7.4 just, it's the perfect action for, short, accurate cast is with it, and still being able to get to some of those big mats. But when you fish those big mats like you get on Gunnersville, you got to have that 7.9. I mean, those extra 5 inches makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah. Now, I do have a question from the comments that says, when fishing a frog in thick mats, what do you do to your frog to be able to get the appearance for the bass?
Well, one, when I built the River to Sea Fat Mat Daddy Frog, I built it that I could throw it on mats. I didn't want to have any alterations to it. The only thing that I do is I do trim the legs just a little bit, just so that they get the bait a little bit more. But that frog weighs 5/8 of an ounce. So when you're throwing it over those big mats, that 5/8 of an ounce makes a good impression into the mat, gets to create those lines in the mat that the fish can track it, so you can get more bites and put more fish in the boat.
Yeah,
Uh,
because
I
that's
got a,
one thing.
I got, I got a
Go ahead,
question
bud.
right here from Steven Sturgeon. He says he wants to know: do you ever use a frog as a backup to get glide bait followers to bite, or do you just move on to find bites or
No,
bite?
it's the glide bait and the frog are two totally different baits. When a bass is kind of like people, and when you want a steak, you want a steak. When you want chicken, you want chicken. When you want fish, you want
Right.
fish. And so you start taking that glide bait and you get that follower and you want to try to throw a frog over the top of their head, they're probably not going to react to it. The key is taking that glide bait and figuring out what it takes to get those bass to strike. It's kind of like almost like a cat and mouse game. Is all of a sudden you make that twitch to the left hard or twitch to the right hard, or you stop it and then you burn it away from them. That sometimes triggers those fish that follow it into biting, and you have to figure out what that trigger is.
Awesome,
Yeah.
thank you.
Now, is it when you're throwing a big glide bait? Is it more of less as the real cadence, or is it more as a rod movement?
Me, it's both. It's a combination of both. Sometimes it's the rod movement where you jerk it left to right, kind of like you do a fluke, or sometimes they just want that steady whine, and you reel it by a shadow, and he comes up out of the shadow and he just trounces it.
Right. Yeah, and to me, like I love throwing them around like dock pylons, and then like around the dams and stuff like that. Like around the spillways, and just seeing, just all you see is just a big old like a shadow coming up, and
Yeah.
then it finally breaks through the light, and you just see this big old thing. And I'll be honest with you, Ish, like still today, like the first couple, like when I go out and start throwing it, and that first couple that I see, and I see it come up, I'm
Oh yeah.
swinging a little early, Ish.
I swing a little early at times too. It's hard, but man, you got to wait till you feel them. Wait till they turn their head before you know they got it good.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it's an interesting bait to throw, and if you can get it figured out, it is one bait. I've got a buddy that he throws it all year round here on Chickamauga, and it is one fun bait to be able to get some big ones on.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I mean the Chad. I mean, there's so many different ones.
yeah, and the thing is uh, I've got a buddy that he took a 6-inch gizzard shad and put it into a mold. And so he's got the body of the 6-inch gizzard shad.
That's
And
awesome.
so, and he pours, like he hand pours all this, and it's doubled, it's just one joint. And I don't have one right here with me, but he has it to where it's got like an Allen wrench. You take an Allen wrench and you can screw it down to be able to tighten it up to where if you want a tighter swim, or if you want it to be able to
Wow,
swing out wide and stuff, man.
Oh, it's
I
nice.
had
That's
I
that's
had
pretty. That's pretty cool. I'd like to see that bait for sure.
yeah. Well,
yeah.
are you going to? You're going to be in Knoxville in the Daiwa booth at the Classic.
Not sure. I've taken on a big project right now, and with me not fishing the classic, I don't really know, if I'm going to
Yeah,
be able to make it. I mean, with the tournaments that I am fishing next year, and the stuff I have going on out here with the boat dealerships and tackle shops, there's a
yeah,
lot of stuff that's gonna that if I mean the classic is a very important show, but I got to see what's going on here.
I got you, brother. Well, what I'll do is I'll bring one to the Classic, and I'll have it in my bag. So if you're there, I'll have it to show you.
Oh, just to
Um,
show me you don't have one to give me? Come on now.
I
Maybe
may
showing me stuff.
I, I may be able to pull that one out.
Okay.
I'll tell them, be like, hey, I got Ish that's wanting one of these, and I'm pretty sure we can make it happen, brother.
I mean,
But
that's like taking a kid to Disneyland and telling him he can't ride on any rides. I mean, come
you just
on
Right.
got to look
now.
at it.
We're just gonna walk around the park. That's all we're gonna do.
Yeah,
Exactly. We're
yeah,
gonna walk in. We're gonna
yeah,
walk in and look at everything, but we ain't gonna touch, buy, or ride any rides. It's like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
So yeah, we'll make something happen on it for sure.
okay.
absolutely.
But
So I know you had touched on the West Coast, the East Coast. Um, um, and I see that. I understand you got a lot going on. Do you get to go out and pleasure fish very much, or is it
Saltwater,
pretty? Yeah,
saltwater. I mean, anytime I go pleasure fishing, it's definitely in the salt. I mean, I love saltwater fishing. Bass fishing's a job. I love fishing tournaments, but when it comes to bass fishing for fun, I rather spend myself out there on the salt. I mean, catching tuna, catching wahoo, catching rock cod, link cod, all those fish taste really, really good, and they're super fun to catch.
So
oh
what's the
yeah,
biggest tuna you've caught?
293.
Oh wow.
I I basically hooked up to a 293, and 5 minutes later, my wife hooked up to a 275, and we landed both of them, and we got a pretty cool shot of both of us holding up our fish, and that was definitely a great trip.
oh I can imagine,
Awesome.
can imagine.
Yeah.
Um, so what what is one of the biggest things that you see like weekend anglers like mess up with or have problems with that you would say that they need to correct to be able to get better?
It's their confidence level. That's the biggest thing that separates, when I show up to any body of water, I'm there to win. I'm not there to cash a check. I'm not there to just gain points. I'm there to win that tournament. And that's where my confidence level is. When I show up, I believe I got the best rod, the best reel, the best line, and I've done my homework, and I'm going to find the best spots that I possibly can find. And
Right.
so when I go to a place, I believe I'm going to do well. I believe I'm going to catch fish. I believe I have the right baits to do that. And the average angler doesn't. They kind of question it and they second guess it, and they call everybody in the world, and that's the worst thing you can do is making phone calls and getting information, doc talk. And if you can stay
Oh
away
yeah.
from the doc talk, you're way better off. Your first instinct is probably your best instinct, and basically the easiest thing to do is when your mind tells you to go do something, go do it. I mean, I look at the last not the last tournament I fished, I did okay in, but the tournament before that I won. And I said to myself in practice, I said, you're going to make a 60 to 70-mile run to go check a spot that if you can get in and get out, you will win the tournament. And I went and checked it, and the tide was just right for me to slide in there and get 4 hours of fishing time and slide out of there and end up winning the tournament. And I think I won by like 5 or 6 pounds.
Oh wow,
Wow.
that's good.
Now, is that the main thing with tidal fisheries that you have to worry about? Is just the water dropping like that?
No, it's how the fish position on each tide. I have high tide spots. I have low tide spots. Like some of my high tide spots, if the water's not high, the fish just aren't there. They're sitting on the outside, but they're not going to feed. Same thing with low tide spots. When the water's high,
Right.
they won't feed or I can't get to them. But when it gets just right, that tide sets in, boom, it's game on.
See, and that's and with us being on the Tennessee River, we don't have to deal
Mm.
with anything like that. We look at is how much current that we
Yes.
have, and if there is no current, you might as well just go put the boat back on the trailer and just go to the house. And
Or
so,
go do something else. I mean, I know those river channel fish, yeah, when that current's flowing and they're pumping and generating, they're biting. That current ain't flowing on that river channel, they ain't biting. So you might have to go into a back of a pocket or somewhere where there's not much current to figure out how to catch fish, or go out there and flip
yeah,
those mats that the fish don't even know that there's current going on because they're so buried up in the mats.
Yeah.
right. Now, do you see like when you do have a chance to go fish like a little tournament and stuff like that? One thing that I have noticed, to kind of go back on the question that I asked you, is that I've seen where anglers try to come and try to fish a different technique that they probably never even fished before, and try to learn that during a tournament when that's not the opportunity to learn a technique. Have you seen that?
No. Oh, I've seen that a lot of times. I mean, I watched guys this year, guys who had basically never shaked the minnow before. That's what they heard the bite was, and they're trying to do it during the tournament. And then there's guys who are trying to sight fish because all of a sudden a sight fish tournament shows up and they're trying to sight fish when they don't know much about sight fishing. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because I mean, people do it all the time, and anglers just have to know. I kind of say, stay in your lane. When you know that
Yeah.
there's a frog bite and you're good at frogging, then that's what you do. There's a better drop shot bite or a Carolina rig bite or a cranking bite, and you're good at that. You stick with that.
Yeah. What is besides a frog? What is your go-to bait after that?
Gosh, I love punching. I love top water. Um, I love a spinner bait. I mean, gosh, an old school spinner bait, day in and day
You can't
out.
beat that.
A spinner bait, you
Yeah.
can't beat a spinner bait.
No,
No.
not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
And
And
the
it's and
thing
it's and
is,
it's a lost art. I can't tell you the last tournament I watched on TV where the guy actually picked up a spinner bait and caught him on it because they just don't throw it anymore.
no, everybody's throwing a chatterbait now.
Everybody.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
but and that's one thing because old Pappy here is he loves a spinner bait. I've never
Oh
seen
yeah.
somebody besides old Jimmy Houston. I've never seen somebody want to throw a spinner bait more than what he has.
I love them.
But
I mean, you are right. It's a lost art, buddy. I mean,
Yeah.
and you can do just about anything with a spinner bait. If
Yes.
if you got the knowledge of it, you can do just about anything with a spinner bait that you could possibly do with
Hey, just ask Jason Christie. He'll tell you. He
yeah,
still
yeah.
does it. I mean, he still catches a ton on a spinnerbait. I mean, a spinnerbait to me is probably still the most versatile bait out there. You can
Hmm.
wake it, you can wind it in the middle of the column, you can crawl it on the bottom, and you can catch fish all different ways with it.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and to me, I mean, if you're throwing a chatterbait, anywhere you throw a chatterbait, you can throw a spinnerbait.
100%. Anywhere you
Mhm.
throw a square bill, you can throw a spinnerbait. Anywhere you
Yeah.
throw a plastic worm, you can throw a spinnerbait. Anywhere you throw a zero spook, you can throw a spinnerbait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you throw like any blade baits?
A little bit, but that's a cold water thing for us out here on the west. There's just for us the blade bait when they're eating that bait. There's other baits for us to throw.
Right. So yeah, because I know like um here, like I'll that's one of my besides a Texas rig, I'll keep a blade bait tied on, and I'll throw a blade bait all year round, and but and I don't I get people ask me like, man, it's 95 degrees outside. What are you doing? The water temp is pushing 90. What are you doing? And I'm like, I catch fish all year with them. So,
Yep.
uh,
So changing gears for just a second, and kind of pique your brain a minute. If when you go up to a new body of water, at a tournament location, what are some of your key factors that you look for to dial in on a productive fishing spot?
I tell people the best way to do that is you find the most favorite thing you love to throw and the best technique that you're the best at. So anytime I show up to a lake and there's grass and I can throw a frog or I can punch, that's what I'm going to try to do. That's what I'm looking for. If there's not that, then it's the next thing that I love to do. And that's once again back to throwing a spinnerbait or a chatterbait or a square bill crankbait or a topwater. And then I go look for that. And last but not least, then you have to resort. You can never go wrong with a Texas rig or a drop shot on any lake in the country.
Yeah,
uh,
no, I totally agree.
now when you're throwing a Texas rig, what color do you go to?
Black, straight black,
Really?
Yeah.
straight
Well,
black.
I done
I can throw a black plastic worm anywhere in the country and catch a bass on it.
roll asked him about the what color does he like, and he says at nighttime he said any color black does great. And so and then he
Any
said
color black.
in daytime he says green pumpkin. So
Yeah, you can't really go wrong with green pumpkin. I mean, dirty water, clean water, but black to me. I mean, I grew up throwing a black gator tail worm, and I have always been able to catch fish on it everywhere I go.
oh heck yeah. So what is it like to be what? Because you've been what with bass for what 27 years, something like that.
Fished
And
bass for a while, then I fished MLF, and now I'm back fishing bass again, and I'm also enjoying fishing at home. I really love to fish tournaments, scheduling permitting. I can fish both again. We've got the BAM Trail out here that's awesome. We have what they call the Super 60, and it's
right,
$50,000 first place against 60 guys. We have
man.
Juan Bass out here that gives away a boat, and the U.S. Open, and then Bass has a great circuit in the opens, and trying to get back to the elites, and it's a long, hard roll
Yeah.
but I'll get back there. I would have
Yeah,
been
you
back
will.
there. I would have been back there the first year if it wasn't for forward facing sonar, but I'm getting better at it. Active Target 2, they've come a long ways. We've got a new 25.1 software update for Lowrance,
That
and
update, that was
oh,
that update done wonders.
yes, it changes the game again, and so now you're able to see out further and dial in your active target a whole lot better. So I'm definitely going to be honed in on that. Just got to see. Hopefully, unlike this year, we get to fish 2 days of an event versus. Man, we had a real hard roll in the opens this year and missed a lot of days of fishing.
Right.
But what's your
Now,
what's your what's your thoughts on the forward facing sonar?
I'm not against it. I'm not 100% for it. Um, Bass made an announcement today that they're going to flip a coin and half with and half without. And I think it's a pretty good situation. Is you're going to see some things change on the leaderboard. You're going to see some of the what I call the veterans come out, and looking forward to a guy like Polinick who can do both, and him winning Angler of the Year. John Cruz is going to shine. Ike's going to shine. Guys like that who can just catch them. That's the one thing that I am seeing about this new generation bass fishermen is you take the forward facing sonar away from them, they couldn't catch a bass out of a wet paper bag. You know, I mean, and they'll tell you too.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
when you give them, active target and other forward facing sonar, those guys are amazing fishermen. But to me,
yeah,
I still love the fact of not seeing the fish come and eat the bait and the anticipation and figuring out that I need more than just two spinning rods on my deck to catch them.
exactly. And I mean, because there's nothing like just group of guys going out there and just doing a smash fest, just old school. You know,
Hmm.
I'm going to my places. You go to your places, and we'll just bring in the biggest bag that we can. For me, the forward facing sonar has been more of a learning tool because what I
Yes.
grew up thinking that fish done has been totally different from once I've been able to put the forward facing sonar on about 4 years
Right.
ago. I have learned so much from it. I'm still waiting ish. I mean, people tell me that it's a cheating box, but I still haven't put uh, that sonar down in the water. The fish still hadn't jumped in the boat yet. I'm still waiting though.
Yeah, but it's definitely an easier learning curve because I mean, like active target, you can see the water column that the fish are sitting in. You figure out the
Exactly.
bait to throw. You know that if they're shying away from your bait, you need to change colors or a different size. You get to see the size of the bait that's out there. I mean, there's just so many different factors that it cuts out the process of elimination. It cuts out the thought process, but it's an amazing tool to have. And I believe that everybody should have it on their boats, and that's where the equalization comes in. Is if every single angler has active target 2, you're going to see that all these different anglers win because everybody's figured out how to use it.
Yeah. And but the thing, like, kind of like what you was talking about, like these younger kids that's coming up through high school and college and stuff. I mean, they're heck of an angler, but um, all they've grown up is with the forward facing sonar. I
Yeah,
guarantee you go to them and say, "Hey, I need you to triangulate this little point for me." They couldn't do it. They could
100%.
not do anything. And
Or why
um,
was that fish underneath the mat? Or why did that fish eat that frog? Or, hey, why did you throw a white spinnerbait over a chartreuse spinnerbait or Colorado blades over Indiana blades? Like, they have no
right,
concept of why those things are. They have their jig head minnow. They have their little wacky rig finesse worm. They're throwing it on 6 and 8 pound tests. I actually had this kid tell me that he qualified for a like championship at lacrosse and didn't want to go because he knew he was going to have to go throw braid and a frog to have a chance. And I'm just like, and what's not fun? What's not fun about that? He goes, I love
Exactly.
spinning. I love spinning rods. I love light line, 6 pound, 8 pound tests. And I'm just sitting there looking at him like, just go sit back, eat your chicken tenders. Your mom will give you your participation trophy, and don't come out where the real men are because you're gonna get beat up.
now, now I'll tell you, I would love to see a tournament with you, John Cruz, John Cox, and Ike and Nelly just going at it. Just just man up and just bring out the braid and let's just go. So
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that would be one heck of a show. I mean, you and I think John Cox are probably, in my opinion, are probably the two best frog guys that I have ever seen. And I've never seen anybody else go and get as in some skinny water as what y'all do. But John gets in some real skinny water though.
That's
I
that's where that aluminum boat gets him. You know, I love
yeah,
my fiberglass boat. I love my Skeeter and my Yamaha, and I get there fast, and I get back every time. John just has a boat that he can get into places that you can't take a glass boat into.
yeah. And but that would just, I mean, to me, I mean, I don't know. There's got to be millions of people that would be just want to go see that slugfest. Just that
Oh,
because there's nothing like a top water blow up on a frog or just a top
oh,
water blow up in general. But I mean, that would be awesome. And the thing is, Pappy, you have the guys that smile the most with John Cox and Ish. It's all the time.
Yeah.
So it's just smile.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
um, what has been biggest thing that you have learned from when in tournament fish or fishing professionally? Um, I know you've been doing it forever, but what was been from when the time that you was growing up? What was the biggest thing that you learned with fishing professional?
um, I don't know. That's a hard one. I've learned a lot of valuable lessons over the years. You know, I've had the opportunities to have dinner and go to some of the greats. You know, I've been to Kevin Van Dam's house and had barbecue and a beer with him. You know, I've had dinner with Denny Brower, Larry Nixon. Just sat down and talked with him. But I also grew up around some of the other greats that a lot of people don't know about, like D. Thomas. You know, D. Thomas, the father of flipping. D is the one who got me into flipping with a flipping stick. You know, people fail to realize that Dave Glebe, who's another West Coast angler, that dude won like 47 boats and a Cadillac. And he actually won 3 Bassmaster tournaments in the 70s. And these are the guys, you know, Dave, there's a pretty cool story. And if you could ever, I got Dave to tell his side of it and Roland to tell his side of it. And pretty much what it broke down to was Dave Glebe taught Roland Martin how to flip. And Roland Martin won 9 Angler of the Years because of it. And it's a pretty awesome story. And, you know, this is the stuff that I grew up on with bass fishing. What I see now is kind of disappointing and disheartening is there's this mentality of whatever it takes to win, whether it's lying, cheating, or stealing. We've had more disqualifications in the past 3 years than we've had in the past 30 years. Now,
Yeah,
granted that, you know, things are different now. We have social media, we have cameras, we have a lot more things that are out there and going. But I'll tell you this is you shamed yourself back in the day when you basically cheated in a tournament. And if you got
yeah,
disqualified, you pretty much ran yourself out of the industry. And now these guys are getting disqualified not once, but twice in a year. To me, I think you get disqualified the first time, we slap you on the wrist. Second time disqualified, we're cutting off your hand, and the third time you're disqualified, you're out of the league. And
Yeah.
and that's pretty much what it boils down to is I don't ever feel like I need to cheat in this sport, and so I just, like I said, I just grew up in a time and era where there was a lot more integrity, and it really meant something to win a tournament without getting information, without breaking any rules or bending rules, and it was just the cool thing to do was bass
Yeah.
fish.
Well, and the thing is, there's not anything that's more satisfying is knowing that you put the work in to be able to go find some fish, and then during the tournament when the lights are on, it was productive enough for you to win. To me, that was more satisfying than anything else. And because, I mean, if you cheat, then in the back of your mind, you're like, well, I couldn't beat so and so because I had to go and cheat to be able to go get a 5-pounder or whatever to be able to win.
Right.
And to
I mean, you take
me,
the last 3 years, and you just multiply that 9 times 3, which is 27. I guarantee you in the last 3 years, there was more than 50% of the tournaments that there was a disqualification at. And that's sad.
that's sad. Yeah. So what? Um,
You
what
think
is
it's
like?
just because of the amount of pressure on? Well, I guess you kind of answered that a while ago when you said
It's
that.
all about the gram. It's all about the gram. Everybody wants to be Instagram famous,
Yeah,
and that's what it takes. Is if there's a group of anglers now that don't care about making money, they care about a trophy. And
right.
I'll tell them this is you can care about that trophy all you want. And yeah, you think $100,000 is great, but if you look at the end of the year when you have no sponsors and you have no one that likes you and you have nothing to build on, then what? What are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And excuse me. Let's see. I got John Pate says, ask Ish if he could still sing the Ishy Lishy Vishy Frog song because he was sure funny when he did it during the tournament.
I have no idea what he's talking about, but it
So,
sounds hilarious.
yeah.
Sounds hilarious.
Uh,
Not to say that I haven't sang a song when I'm trying to get the fish to bite a frog, and it's more so sounds like me begging them to eat my frog when they won't eat my frog. But yeah, the ishy, lishy, delishy frog song, I have no clue.
That's hilarious. Oh,
uh,
John.
let's see. Let's see. Lori says the cheaters are getting away with too much.
100%.
And she said, and they don't care about the relationship with their sponsors either.
No, they really don't. That's 100% true. They don't care that if I look at my 20+ year history of bass fishing, I've made $3 million in earnings, but I could tell you that I've made a lot more than that in sponsorship earnings.
Yeah. So, um, let's see. See, Callie says Ish is the man, and I don't know if she's from out that way. I know she works with a friend of mine is Ben Green with Ben Green
Oh,
Insurances.
I know Callie. I know Callie. What's up, Callie? Yeah, that's yeah, me and Callie are friends, and we kind of go way back. She's super cool peoples and stuff like that. And tell little Emma I said hi, and all is good.
So,
And Ben's an amazing insurance agent for all you folks out there. Ben Green, you need insurance for boats, you need insurance for your house, you need any kind of insurance. Ben Green is the man to see out there in that area for getting insurance. And yeah, Ben's a really good dude.
Yeah. So yeah, he lives out towards our way, towards the
Yeah.
Chattanooga area now,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I've got to fish against him in a couple of tournaments for a couple of years, and I tell you, he's a hammer too. So
Yes, he
especially
is.
once he figured out the Tennessee River stuff, he has been tearing it up here of late.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's a Western guy that moved back east, and he's doing really good out there.
so what is it like talking about being out in the western side of the United States, and because primarily all your tournaments are going to be central U.S. to eastern part of the United States. What is it like to be traveling that much? I mean, you're traveling as probably as much as an 18-wheeler truck driver
No,
is.
I've got it figured out. So I'll fish. Let's just say I fish 8 bass events, which is 2 opens divisions. I have a driver who drives my rig out there, and I fly back and forth. I
Oh,
run
nice.
I run 2 rigs, 2 separate sets of tackle for fishing out west. I fish out west and I fish back east, but I fly into events, and if I've got more than a 12-hour drive to a place, that's where the driver comes into play, and you let the driver roll. And this is a business for me, and
Yeah,
I've set up all the tools to be able to maximize my exposure on tour, to being able to fish East Coast and West Coast, and being able to make money in this business. And if more guys treated this like a business, they'd be a lot more profitable.
yeah, and I totally
That's pretty smart.
totally agree with it. I mean, because in the long run, I mean, that's what you're out there to do. I mean, yeah, you enjoy catching fish, but um, how you do in tournaments is what's going to determine what's going to be put on that table at the house. So,
100%.
uh,
100%.
and and I've noticed like the younger generation and kids that's coming up, all they really want is to have sponsors to be able to get free product, and it's not about that. I tell people all the time that when uh, kids come up or their parents come and was wanting to talk about sponsorship and stuff, I was like, it's when you talk to somebody about sponsorship, it's not about what they can do for you. You
It's a
have to
business
answer the
relationship.
question what you can do for them,
Right. Business.
uh, and so and that's one thing that I have noticed, especially over the past 8 to 10 years. That's what it's more kind of leaned to is everybody wants to be YouTube famous or Instagram
Yeah.
famous and be able to get that free product. But it's not about. I mean, if you're getting free product 1 year, but then you're not doing anything to sell that product, then what? Why are they going to stay with you?
Yeah.
Well,
It's not a
you
mutual.
are the the pros are the products of
Yeah,
the sponsors as well.
Yeah. The pros are
yeah,
the product, they're the ambassadors, they're everything to these companies. I mean, if you're not going to be beneficial to that company, the company has no reason to sponsor you. It's great.
Exactly.
You're going to have those exceptions of your buddies who want to sponsor you just because they think it's cool. But the majority of these companies out there, they want a return on their investment. They're not
yeah,
sponsoring anglers just because you fish, they're sponsoring you because they feel like you're going to be able to sell product.
yeah.
So I got
So
a question for Robert Dunphy Jr. It's pretty good. He says, "What's your opinion on a bank angler who fishes all over the country using different techniques for multiple species? Do you think that they could compete in tournaments?"
Honestly, I think they could. You know, I fish all over the world for different species, and I can tell you, being a well versed angler has helped me catch all different species. So, a guy who can use different techniques from the bank and catch fish consistently and fish for different types of fish, he can fish for a bass. Because
yeah,
there's the one thing I can tell you about a bass is there is no consistency.
Yeah.
There's none. They 1 year they're eating this, the next year they're eating that. 1 year they're in the grass, the next year they're not in the grass. And you're just like, why are they not in the grass? Gunnersville is not the same frog lake that it used to be. Chick's not the same big fish lake that it used to be because it changes due to weather conditions, due to pressure, due to innovations in techniques. Once again, has anyone ever thought that you could go out, run down to the middle of the lake anywhere without a GPS coordinate, take your trolling motor, drop it in the water, take your active target, and start scanning around and start catching bass over 40 feet of water that are suspended in 12?
Mm.
You never would have thought that.
No,
No.
didn't even think that they was even there for one.
Right. And there's hundreds of them out there, thousands of bass out there. And these guys have shown you. And once again, back to, man, these guys catch a lot of fish on a freaking wacky rig, little worm, and a jig head minnow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I got a question that says, what is your favorite lake to fish that is not out in California?
Oh, gosh. Oh, that's a hard one. Because you got to realize, I have the Bass Factory. Clear Lake is officially the Bass Factory. I weighed the 3 biggest stringers in a tournament that I've ever weighed and still finished 6th. And so when you say, oh, the best lake, Thousand Islands is amazing. St. Clair is amazing. Mississippi River is amazing. Okeechobee used to be amazing.
Yeah.
But I guess I have to say Thousand Islands would be my favorite place to fish because, you can go catch a 20-pound bag of smallmouth, you can go catch a 20-pound bag of largemouth, and you can do it within a 5-minute run of each other.
That's crazy. So, would you prefer to have a river system or a highland reservoir?
I'll take a river system any day of the week. I love the current eddies. I love being able to break down the water. I love the fact that most likely you're going to have grass in that river system versus highland reservoirs, usually deep, clear, lots of finesse techniques, and I'd almost rather go to the dentist than throw a drop shot.
I hear you on that. I hear you.
So do I.
Yeah,
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Well, because like going with like what you were saying, like with reading the water and the eddies and stuff like that, that you can almost like just going down a river system and seeing how the current's flowing off the bank or wrapping around, that you can be like, all right, there's going to be fish right here. It may not be the biggest fish, but you can pinpoint a whole lot easier, I think, than for me than a highland reservoir. I mean,
Definitely.
to me, if I go to a highland, like let's say if I go to Lanier, I might as well just try to go out there and just jump in the water and swim and catch the fish than
Yeah,
actually
so now
going
you're
out
throwing
the river.
spotted bass in the mix. Them spots are even spots are those people that, they run marathons, they drink lots of Red Bull, they eat basically celery sticks and carrot sticks. I'd rather be the largemouth guy who wants a steak and a baked potato, who wants to sit on the couch and watch John Wick. That's the kind of fish that I'm fishing for.
That's my kind of fish. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
What question was? What has been your biggest bag you've ever weighed in?
35 pounds, 12 ounces is the biggest bag I've ever weighed in. I weighed 40 pounds and it's 41 pounds and an ounce is the biggest bag I've ever caught.
That's massive.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. We and what lake was that on Clear? Clear Lake?
Yeah, that was clear. That was Clear Lake that I weighed the 41 pounds on. The biggest bag in the tournament was at Lake Amistad, when everything just went right, and I ended up basically winning that tournament.
Oh,
So
okay.
Ish,
Um,
if you out of all the old timers that you have talked to and picked their brains and that they've gave you valuable information, what is the one that has really stuck out to you and still to this day sticks out to you the most?
Um, so there was a time in my life where I just needed Phoenix, Arizona, to hang out. And John Murray is a guy who probably won $1 million before Larry Nixon won $1 million in bass fishing. John won everything, and actually, John lives in Tennessee now, and he lives on Watts Bar. And it's the one thing he told me was just go fishing. You know, everything else is going to be what it's going to be, but just go fishing and enjoy yourself out there when you're fishing. And that's stuck out to me. And we're talking this information, he gave me this 20 plus years ago.
Right.
And that's always been one of those things where I just, everything's going bad, everything's going wrong. Sit down and be like, dude, just go fishing. And you just go
Yeah,
fishing and it works out.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So
so, um, can you explain kind of real quick about like the BAM series, because that is people that's on the East Coast really don't know anything about it. We know about it. We've had a guy that was that fishes the BAM series on the podcast. But can you explain what the BAM series is?
So the BAM series is a gentleman by the name of Mark Lassane, who was an amazing tournament angler out west here, who basically also started Bass Angler magazine. And we needed something out west to fish that had some media behind it, which is he's given us that. B, credibility behind it, which he's given it that himself and the anglers that he's chose. Plus two, a good payout, which he's actually gone to multiple anglers and talk to them about a payout structure. And so we have the BAM Pro-Ams, which are great. And the BAM Pro-Ams is a normal Pro-Am series. But you have to qualify for what they call the BAM Super 60, which is the 60 Western anglers at the top level that want to fish for $50,000 as the first place prize. And he has the media behind it, he has the anglers behind it, and a $50,000 payout for a $2,000 entry fee. You can't really ask for much more than that on a structure of basically the fishermen. You catch the five biggest fish, or you catch or you catch the most fish, and that's how you qualify for the top 10. And then the last day is the five biggest fish weight, which is great. And he's televising on YouTube. He's done a fantastic job. He's got a lot of great sponsors behind it, and it's a trail that I really, really enjoy fishing. And I keep hoping that there are no conflicts with it, so I can continue fishing them.
Yeah. Now, do you wish that bass would go out west toward your way?
Long as it's in an open division, not in the elites until I'm back fishing the elites, then we can go out west, because I don't want all the phone calls. Ish, where do I go? What do I do? Because that's the new thing nowadays is dial a bass. It was funny. There was somebody asked me. They go, it was just a sports writer talking about all the different like steroids and stuff. They're like, well, is there steroids in bass fishing? I said, yeah. It starts with what's called a cell phone, and they sit there and they dial somebody's number to get waypoints to figure out where to go fish.
Yeah, yeah. So that's funny. They I would love to be able to see y'all to be able to break down Clear Lake or the Delta. I think that would just be phenomenal. I mean, because that's something being in the East Coast or East part of Tennessee or the United States, we just hear about Clear Lake and the Delta and stuff like that.
Clear Lake's a very special place, and it's not a place that you worry about breaking down because the whole lake is good, and you can literally catch them any which way you want to catch them. You know, you're a
Wow.
chatterbait fisherman, catch them on a chatterbait. Topwater fisherman, catch them on a topwater. Jig fisherman, catch them on a jig. Flipping, you want to go flipping, you can go catch them flipping. Catch them on a frog, catch them on a spinnerbait, catch them on a deep diving crankbait, a shallow crankbait. Catch them any way you want to catch them. Catch them on a drop shot, catch them on a shaky head, catch them on a Texas rig worm, catch them on a Carolina rig. That's the great part about Clear Lake. Now, Delta's someplace that I would really like to see some of these really great forward-facing sonar guys come out there and try, because I don't think they could do as well on the Delta.
Yeah. Now, do you think that Clear Lake, like if it got the pressure that, let's just say, like a Gunnersville, do you think that it would still hold up as well?
Gunnersville, if it got that kind of pressure, it depends on the part of the country. So the one thing that makes Clear Lake and a lot of the western lakes great is that they don't eat bass here in the state of California. We have too
Right.
many other fish to eat. We have too many saltwater fish to eat. So guys go fishing, you know, they're going bass fishing for fun. So it's pretty much all catch and release. And so it
Right.
doesn't get that same kind of pressure to it that at Gunnersville. You know, I watched a guy at Gunnersville when the last time I fished there. He went out and he caught his limit, and he was out there that afternoon catching his limit again
Yeah.
Mm.
and taking
And
them
I
home.
guarantee it was in the frying pan later that
Yes,
night.
yes, it was.
um, what is your favorite Daiwa reel? Bait caster or spinning reel?
The egg beater is not my. I don't have a favorite egg beater, but I mean, I will tell you this: is the Daiwa Exist is probably the most amazing spinning reel on the planet. You know, there's nothing better engineered and designed in Japan as the most awesomest spinning reel ever. But I'll tell you, the Tatula series. If I'm trying to make long casts, I'm throwing the Tatula Elite series. If I'm trying to just, not have to put my thumb on the spool, the Tatula SV is amazing. And then for me, the Zillion is my workhorse reel that can take a beating when I'm frogging and trying to fish, heavy line and pull on these fish hard. The Zillion is made for, the workhorse.
Yeah. And one thing that and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ish, one thing that I really like about the Daiwa is you can pull a Daiwa reel out of a box, put it on a rod, and you do not have to mess with adjusting it or anything like that. It is already preset, ready for you to go, and you can go out there and just start yanking some lips.
Yeah, the SV spool, that's what it was designed for. The SV spool, actually they initially designed it for skipping and not backlashing, but after we started making lots of casts with it, we realized you don't even have to have your thumb on the spool and not get a backlash. So that's kind of how we roll when it comes to, pulling a reel out of the box, putting it on a rod, and making casts with it.
That's it. Now we've had you on here for almost an hour, brother, and
Yeah,
we
they
we
keep
know
looking. The guys over there keep looking
yeah
at
yeah
me,
yeah
and they're just
we,
like, "Hey, we need you, boss. We need you."
yeah we're gonna do this. We got one more question for you, and then we're gonna let you go, brother.
Appreciate it.
Happy, you want to ask it?
Yeah. So Ish, if there was one person that you could
I didn't
fish
do
with
it. I
on the
didn't do it. It wasn't
boat,
wasn't me. Wasn't me. She lied.
one person that you could fish with on the boat, that's currently with us or not, who would it be and why?
Is it? Give me somebody that I fished with already.
It
That's
don't have to
whoever.
be anybody.
It, anybody.
Dad. Dad.
There you
Yeah,
Good
go.
old dad. I mean, he's the one who I couldn't, be fishing where I'm at without him. I mean, he started me out fishing when I was 2 years old, and I still love going fishing with my dad. My dad is 77 years old, and I still
Oh,
look
yeah.
forward to taking them out fishing. And, once again, I tell these parents all the time, I said, me and my dad have a great relationship because of fishing. Now, there was times where my mom didn't really appreciate him pulling me out of school to let me go fishing, or I had these mysterious dental or doctor's appointments. I mean, I remember one time the teacher was like, "This is like your second doctor's appointment in the last 3 weeks. Are you like okay?" And my dad was pulling me out of school to go fishing, and I just couldn't have the heart to tell him like, "Yeah, everything's great. I'm good." And so if I can fish with somebody, again, it's always going to be dad, and he's still here. And so if I have my choice of one person, then the only other person in that is my wife, and she loves to fish, and she's an amazing woman. Like I said, she's got a 275-pound tuna, and she kicks some butt, and she's all about the hooking and handing of the rod and reel after she catches her fill of fish.
Well, Ish, I want to personally thank you and just tell you,
Yes.
man, I've enjoyed watching you over the years, and I've
Appreciate
been a
that.
huge fan of you for over the years as well.
Yeah.
Just and thank you for all that you do for the sport.
Yep, appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yep. So, guys, real
All right.
quick, next week we have another West Coast guy. We got Clifford Perch coming on, and it's going to be interesting to talk to him as well. So, make sure you tune in next week. We're going to have Clifford Perch on, guys. I hope you have a blessed day. And Ish, brother, thank you so much. And I will
Thank you
see
guys.
you somewhere down the road, brother. So,
All right,
guys,
see you
see
guys.
you later.